Welcome back to Girl Take the Lead, and I'm your host, Yo Canny. Have you ever felt like you're the one everyone counts on? The one who says yes, steps in, carries just a little bit more because you know you can. From the outside, it can look like strength. But what if the very qualities that helped you succeed are quietly costing you your peace? Today, I'm joined by leadership coach, facilitator, and author Erika Alessandrini, whose new book, Maybe It's Me, Looking Inward to Create Real Change Through Conscious Choices, challenges us to look beneath the surface of our own achievements and examine the beliefs that may be driving them. Together, we explore why high achievers often overfunction, overhelp, and take responsibility for everything themselves, and how pressure influences the choices we make, and why conscious leadership begins by looking inward. If you've ever wondered whether it's possible to lead with excellence without sacrificing yourself in the process, I think you'll find this conversation both practical and deeply thought provoking. Let's get started. Here you go. Welcome to Girl Take the Lead, Erika. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you.
I am super excited as well. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So let's begin. If you would please introduce yourself to our audience, that would be great.
Super. Yes. So, first and foremost, I'm a wife and a mom, and all the kinds of moms, a stepmom, a mother in law, and I'm a Grammy. Professionally, I have been coaching and consulting since 2015, and most of my time now is spent serving the Aileron community. Aileron is a nonprofit in Dayton, Ohio, dedicated to supporting privately held businesses, their owners, and their teams. And it's where I get to do the work I love most as a coach and a facilitator. I work with high performing leaders and business owners and help them achieve things they never dreamed possible in their lives and their relationships, their leadership, their businesses. And I'm the author of Maybe It's Me, Looking Inward to Create Real Change Through Conscious Choices, out now from Amplify Publishing.
Mm, the title of that book just got me. Could it all be me? For example.
Yes. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Right.
We're going to have a lot of fun talking about this book because it is filled with so many important distinctions. And you have, questions and work, there's work in there that we can do. And I just loved your book. So thank you so much for writing it and putting it together.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
enjoyed the process. For the most part, it was wonderful.
Yeah. So tell us more about that. How did you get to that point of wanting to write the book? And if you could tell our listeners a bit more about what the book is about, besides the obvious title.
Okay. Yeah. So actually, for a long time, I dismissed the idea of a book, even though clients and friends had been encouraging me, mostly because I genuinely didn't believe that I had anything special to offer.
Mm.
Of course, that was just my inner critic keeping me safe and small. But what changed it was accumulation. Clients in some of the most significant moments in their lives, trusting me with all of it and experiencing shifts that nothing else had reached. And in my own life, relationships that had been good, but maybe operating at a surface level, beginning to open and blossom into something real, deeper, richer, maybe. And when you discover something that powerful, the instinct is to share it.
Mhm.
And so the first real commitment was a retreat. I've done a number of women's retreats. And I had a little over 30 women in a room for a weekend, and we called it Shift because that's what it was, shifting from self sabotage into self mastery, which is what the book is about in coach terms. And watching it work in that room made it undeniable. And so the book is for highly functional achievers who want more, but a different kind of more, maybe one that they don't even know is available to them or exists yet.
Mm-hmm. I think you see a distinction, right, between self sabotaging and limiting beliefs.
Yes, thank you for asking. They are cousins, not sisters. And yes, one of these is more dangerous, and it's not the one most people would expect. So, a limiting belief and your inner critic both ask you to play safe and small, or not at all,
Mm-hmm.
and they keep you from trying. They live in self doubt, in the fear of being found out. Maybe imposter syndrome lives here, and I know this territory pretty well myself.
Mm-hmm.
The five self sabotaging beliefs in the book do something completely different. They don't make you shrink, they actually make you overreach. They send you to the other end of the spectrum entirely, large and in charge, even.
Mm-hmm.
And they feel noble or virtuous because they're all dressed up to look like responsibility and caring. So the inner critic says, I'm not enough. The self sabotaging beliefs say, I'm the only one who can handle this, or I
Mm-hmm.
need to help. One makes you disappear, the other makes you take over. Both are fear, but just completely different faces. And the self sabotaging beliefs are a little harder to see because they look like a strength. Nobody
Mm-hmm.
questions a leader who cares deeply and takes full responsibility until they see the cost.
Right. Well, I know you have a wonderful story in the book about the cost, and actually, it's regarding your son. And do you mind reading that for us? Because it was just so wonderful. It was a great example of how of that cost and what it can be for us.
Yeah, yes, I would be delighted to. Let me get the book open to that page.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll preface the reading with um, what happens when pressure rises, right? So most of us live under a considerable amount of pressure, especially as achievers. And when that pressure rises, fear creeps in quietly, not as panic, not as anxiety. It disguises itself as caring and being responsible.
Mm-hmm.
And um, what makes it so costly is it causes us to overfunction, overstep, and willingly take on the weight of the world at the expense often of some very important things, things most of us would call important, but then take a back seat in those moments, right? So there's an undercurrent of erosion happening in our relationships and our well being, honestly, when we stay in this place. And so most of us think we're doing something good. And so I want to read a passage from the book that captures this. And
Mm-hmm.
it's close to the beginning because I wanted readers to feel it before I even named it. And I was talking about the signs that you might have some work to do. So here we go. So it says, your relationships are at risk or actively falling apart in front of your eyes. For me, this was the hardest pill to swallow and the catalyst for changing my own life. It was 6 p.m., and I was on the phone having another urgent conversation after hours with the company president. Pacing around the kitchen while my 15-year-old son was waiting for me to pick him up from my parents' house. He texted to see if I wanted his papa to bring him home, and I said no. Picking him up was my job. I'll be there soon, I replied. What felt like the most important thing in the moment, the conversation with my boss, was preventing me from my duties as a mom. Yet that conversation is now so inconsequential that I can't even remember what we were talking about. All I know is that more than an hour later, after I told my son I'd be right there, I was still on the phone when he walked through the front door. Shit. I finally ended the call. I said I'd come get you, I barked, as if the problem was that he didn't wait long enough. I could tell something was wrong. Naturally, I made it all about me and assumed he was upset that I was so late again. I started talking about me and my day in some shameful attempt to gain some sympathy. Then his eyes welled up. What's up? I asked. I don't want you to be mad, but, he said. After a long silent pause, he continued. I want to transfer to a different school. I was baffled. Why would he think I would be mad about this? I couldn't wrap my mind around why my son was scared to tell me about his life and desires. Oh, honey, I said, why would I be mad about that? I know it's important to you, he said. You're what's important to me. Let's back up. What's going on? How did you get here? Long story short, he made a really courageous decision to leave the Catholic school he was attending and transfer to a public school. And more importantly, had decided today was the day he was going to tell me about it. And instead of being there for him when he needed me, I left him waiting. And it wasn't the first time. It was becoming habit for me to barely get to a high school basketball game in time for the national anthem, just to duck into a quiet hallway and take an urgent call. I'd said yes to so much that I was stretched unreasonably thin. In trying to be invested in everything, I was invested in nothing. And so my rally cry is this: the people you love most in the world deserve the best of you, not what's left of you. That's the cost. And that's the reason I couldn't stop at insight. I had to work my way through this one.
Mm-hmm. Mm. So good because I think it's such a great example of all the pressures. You had the pressure from work, you had the family pressure, you had just so many things going on there. And I think we can all relate to them. It's like this tension that we're under between um, wanting to do, quote, the right thing, trying really hard. I think that's the other thing. Um, and actually pleasing nobody in the process.
And I'm from Generation X. So, we were told we can do everything,
Right.
but I don't think we were supposed to do it all at the same time. Right. You can do
Or by
maybe
ourselves.
anything, but not everything, right? I think we just didn't. We got our wires crossed when we heard that message when we were growing up.
Yeah. The part two, I think, about that one too is that
Hmm.
we really can't do it all by ourselves. Right. And that was a big part of it, I think, of learning that. Now, when you look at that example and those pressures, which of the sabotaging, um, the self sabotaging principles were going on there for you, you think? Because I think you outline in the book like there's five. Remind me on how
Hmm.
many? Yeah.
Yes, there are five. There are five. And honestly, everyone was active in my life, active and alive and doing well. But I think the two, well, so I think for the women in your audience, I see the two for me, and probably the ones that are most consistent with women, high achieving women, are beliefs 3 and 4, with a side helping of belief 5. Belief 3 is about over responsibility. It's the I think I can do it better myself notion.
Mm-hmm.
And at its best, it's reliability, capability, high performance. But when it's overplayed, it leads to burnout and it disempowers others. It creates dependency. It's the leader who can't let go because no one else will do it right or as fast or as good.
Mm-hmm.
And then belief 4 is the other side of that coin. It's about over helping. And the belief is I think I'm helping. And at its best, it's generosity, support, um, being someone others can count on. But when it's overplayed, we overstep, we create helplessness, and we lose ourself in the process. So
Right.
these two together are what I call the hero trap.
Mm-hmm.
The I'm responsible hero and the I'm helping hero are the two beliefs I think most alive and high functioning women today, and they feel like integrity, they feel like love, and that's what makes it them both so hard to interrupt because nobody walks into a coaching conversation with me thinking that their helpfulness or their productivity is the problem. But yeah,
Well, and caring, right? Um,
yeah.
I think that value, it's like what you're saying, though, it can be overplayed. anything can be overplayed. And any
Mhm.
value that we hold can be healthy and unhealthy. And I think you're helping us see that, yes, but there's a cost. And how much are you
Lots of
willing to
cost.
pay for that?
Yeah, there's a cost and it's hard to see it. And so when I set aside helping of belief number five, I'll just tack on because I didn't speak to it. Belief number five is you think it's temporary. And I think that's really in some ways, the most damaging belief of all is because the other ones give us the justification for our behavior and our decisions. But belief five gives us the runway. It allows us to go on, unrealizing that cost that we just talked about.
Yeah. I think the good news on that end, because I have daughters who are in their almost 30s now. So when the youngest is getting there. But I look back and I think, oh God, all the damage that they caused. And then I'm grateful that they have therapists and that they're getting help. But I also can see the good news being recognizing that that was my responsibility and what it cost them, and being able to just be honest about it with them now. And it's never too late, in other words. I mean, it can be too late. I know that for some relationships, but I think recognizing the responsibility is ours to own, to change, is the best we can do sometimes.
It's some things aren't our fault, right? The way we're just, it's not always our fault. We're doing the best we can until we know better. But it is our responsibility that once you do know better, to go back and kind of own those things and talk through those things. And not in a self-deprecating way, but in a genuine attempt to say, I could have done better, and now I want to do better, and please help me, please forgive me, please help me.
Yeah.
Right? It's not too late.
Yeah. Because I think it's the future actions from that point that someone will trust, whether you're sincere about it and whether you're not. And it will be definitely recognized when you're not sincere.
It must be genuine.
Yeah.
But when it
Yeah.
when it is, I've had clients come to me after engagements and talk about how um, relationship damage with a spouse or their mostly with their kids,
Mm-hmm.
how it felt irreparable. And they'll come to me and say, I didn't believe this was possible. Like we're talking for the first time in 10 years, 20, in a
Yeah.
very, very long time. The relationship is on the mend. We're working things out. It's
Yeah. It's
most of
good.
us just won't go through the discomfort to get there, or
Yeah.
or don't believe it's possible or available to us.
Do you see it from your work, some generational differences about, I mean, are younger generations doing self sabotaging beliefs of their own? Are they finding their
Mhm.
way down a path too?
Yeah, they're not exempt from this, right? They're not,
Good.
right. None of us are exempt from
Sorry,
this.
I shouldn't be saying
Um,
that. But
um,
we just, if it affects all of us, just as human beings, it's good for us all to recognize this.
yeah. Well, so the beliefs are universal. What changes by generation, and I love the question, is the story that activates the belief. Um, it wears the same costume, right? Same roots, different packaging, same cost, different timeline. But maybe if, in the interest of time and for your audience, I'll talk a little bit about Gen X and millennials. So if we look at Gen X, over responsibility is private and stoic. They handle their own problems. They don't burden other people. Asking for support tends to feel like failure for them. They show up, they do the thing, all the things, probably all right, all of the things, without a big announcement. They, don't. They're not as public about the things that they do, but then they carry a little bit of a quiet resentment. that no
Mhm.
one noticed or reciprocated. So the helping is genuine, but the invisibility of it is more their problem. And then the opposite is true for millennials. So over responsibility is very visible, very performative, being available and responsive at all times, right? The always available, always on, you know, answering messages and at night, unable to let a team member struggle without rescuing them. Their intention is good, it's to support, but the impact there is then dependency.
Mm.
People stop developing because someone's always there to catch them before they have to figure it out or before they fail and learn. And so the through line across all the generations is the same. Pressure invites fear, and fear invites control. Control comes at a cost, and the generation changes, but the pattern doesn't.
Whoa. One of the beautiful things, Erica, about you is that you're giving us these wonderful wisdom insights. They're so wise. And you say them just like, I I feel like I should take our episode and just keep putting it into little, giving our audience a moment of rest just to get what you just said because it's so insightful.
Thank you.
So,
I write dense because I'm, just my personality. I like bullet points. I like, right. So the book is dense, and I say frequently to like put it down, take a minute, take a
yeah.
beat, because the audio version came out just this week.
Uh-huh.
Actually today I think I got an email, and I looked and it was over 8 hours. So I thought
Congratulations,
it's
by
a
the way.
lot, right? It's a lot to
But
take in. So
but it's good if you even take it in bits and let that in for a moment because you're you're offering people, they've got to do the work. You're not off the hook, and it is about you. And yeah, you could have this marvelous life if you give yourself this opportunity. So anyway, I see it and I'm thinking, I hope our audience can see it too and want to go out and get this book immediately so that they can get some work done on it. One of the other things that I loved that you talked about was compassionate curiosity.
yo, yes. So compassionate curiosity is maybe one of the most powerful tools in the book, and one of the most practical, I think. Um, it lives inside question 3 of the 7 conscious questions,
Uh-huh.
which is what might be true for others. And so let's say someone snaps at you in a meeting, a team member goes quiet, a family member withdraws, whatever the behavior. We take it personally.
Yep.
And our first instinct is to decide what it means about them. And then we respond from that conclusion. Compassionate, right? Compassionate curiosity doesn't know, it discovers. It asks us to pause before that conclusion and ask, what might be true for the other person that I don't know? What might they be carrying? What version of their inner world would make their outer behavior understandable, even if I don't agree
Mm,
with it,
mm,
right? I find everything other people say and do makes perfect sense to them if you ask them.
yeah.
And I know you have a lot of Brene Brown fans in your audience, but I love that she says compassion is not a virtue, it's a commitment. And I also love it because it removes the idea that you either have it or you don't, or you don't.
Mhm.
It's a practice, a daily decision to stay curious instead of certain,
Mm,
right? Yeah.
mm.
So for any woman in the audience who's ever thought, I just want to be understood before I'm advised, this is what creates that experience for everyone around you.
Mm. So, this last point you made, I want to be understood, or is it I want to understand before I advise?
Well, yeah, most of us want to feel understood before
Uh,
someone starts to give us advice or
oh,
counsel
okay.
or tell us how to fix our problems or help us or save us or fix us, right? It's like people, do this work, and it's one of the rules I have frequently in my classroom is, okay, when we practice the concepts is No advice giving. Please just ask compassionately curious questions, open-ended questions. And when they come back, the hardest thing I ever ask people to do is not give advice and try to solve everyone else's problems, because it's in our DNA,
Yeah.
and we want to help.
Yeah.
And sometimes people just need first to be understood
Yeah.
and seen before we come in to save the day.
Yeah. I can remember early on in my own transformational work that like someone would be going through um, something very emotional, and someone in the group would want to hug them or hold them. And,
Mhm.
I can remember the coach saying, don't do that because you're interfering with their process. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's so good because it it gives respect and space for other people to go through what they need to go through. And like you're saying, don't assume you know what that other person is going through, or
Yeah.
ask them.
I think what we rush to fix most is people's feelings. When people are feeling bad, I'll just use that category of emotion. We want to we want people to feel better.
Mhm.
And that's part of that process that we're talking about here, where we go in to kind of save the day, or whether we bring levity, or whether we bring a Kleenex, or we bring a hug, or we want people to feel better quickly. And that robs them of the opportunity to process that emotion and get it all the way through, all the feels, all the way out, which is what we all need to do,
Mm,
or it turns into baggage.
that can be so hard sometimes.
So hard.
Patience on the other end, tolerance, um, but that's really what love looks like in the moment,
It
just
looks
giving
like
them
sitting with
space.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, just sitting with you.
Yeah.
In our world as coaches, we call it holding space, or some call it empathy, some call it, it's referred to a lot of different ways, but really it's just allowing someone to have their whole human experience in front of you without the need to change it or fix it.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I'm wondering about is what gets in the way between this pressure that we feel and the tension and the peace we want in our
Mm,
lives.
mm. One thing, one really, really big thing, and it's the ability to pause.
Mm,
And inside of that pause, doing something very intentional. Because pressure isn't going away. The demands are real, the stakes are high. The question the book answers is, how do you stop letting pressure make your decisions for you? Not the absence of pressure, it's not going away, but the end of it being in the driver's seat. And so there's a moment between a stimulus or your circumstance, reality, and your response to it. And most of us skip this. We've been rewarded our whole lives for being fast, decisive, right? Acting quickly. And that pause can feel like a weakness,
mhm,
but it's really one of the highest leverage moves available to us, because in that moment, you can check what you're feeling, what's real, what someone else might be experiencing, what outcome you really want in that moment. And the
mhm,
seven conscious questions are what happen inside that pause. They move you through your inner world, your
mhm,
emotional state, your story. Again, what's real, what you want, what impact you want to have, especially on others. And then they close with question number seven, which I think is the capstone of sorts. Um, Question seven is about personal responsibility, 100%, no more, no less. And I want to be really clear about what it means and doesn't mean,
mhm,
because I think this one is often misunderstood. It's not self blame or a collapse on our part, it's not taking on everything that goes wrong.
mhm,
It's the moment. It's the moment a leader stops organizing their life around what everyone else needs to do different. A form of like perfecting reality,
Mhm.
and asks, what is the one thing I can actually change right now? That question is always available, but most people don't ask it because they're too busy managing the situation or trying
Mhm.
to bend reality to fit their life or their desires.
Mm. Mm. Well,
So,
I'm
yeah.
wondering if you were to look back now on that conversation with your son
Mm.
with these insights, would you? I know that we can't go back and change things, but if you were advising somebody and coaching somebody, what would you tell them? Because things came to me right away, like, well, maybe she could ask on a scale of 1 to 10, how are you doing, honey? Do you need for me to, are you a 10 that you want me there right then? And that would have given that, set that up. And then been able to say to your boss, I got a 10 from my son right now. I need to go take care of that. I don't know. I mean, would that have made a difference in that moment, you think? Or is that something that I would have, I know I would have been afraid to say to my boss, I got a 10, I need to go take, it might appear to me, and it could just be where I am in my life, that back then I would have appeared weak and I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have been that transparent. But it would have been nice to have been able to say, I got a 10 for my son. I need to go.
Great question. I think there's a lot of fear in telling someone you got to get back to your life. Heaven forbid it's 6:30 p.m., right? That you have to get to your life and your family. Um, but I think it does speak to the pause again, because even the best question, right? Even if I had that question, hey, on a scale of 1 to 10, right? Like, and it seems like innocuous, right? Hey, mom, when are you coming? Do you want Papa to bring me home? Doesn't feel like a five-alarm fire or like I need to ask that question. It's noticing when your focus is all on yourself, right?
Oh,
I was all wrapped up in what I needed and what I wanted, what I wasn't like, and what was happening to me in the moment. And I was excusing away kind of my other roles.
yes, I get
Assume
that.
again that you think it's temporary, right? Like it will keep. I'll get there.
Yeah.
But I love the idea of planning in advance. So I think if I were, you can't go back. I would love to parent all over again.
I
I
know, me
swear I would
too.
get it a lot better, do things a lot better. Um, but it really is never too late to start or too
Mhm.
early to start doing this work. But I do think that having great, um, I guess, questions or protocol maybe is a better word. Like having protocol, like for example, my husband and I have protocol. Like we're busy lives. If one of us calls and says can't
Mhm.
talk, don't
Yeah.
even have to say goodbye. We absolutely know that it's,
Yeah.
game on.
Right.
Call you back when I get a chance. We don't need to explain it all and apologize. Right? We have this
Yeah.
protocol, like an agreement,
Yeah.
and I think that more often than not, none of us are really great at putting our needs on the table, our children, ourselves. And I don't know that we demonstrate it very well. I don't know
Yeah.
that we model kind of putting our needs on the table, saying, hey, when you get home today, I really like, I'm hoping we can set aside some time, or I need you today. Or when I say I'll be right there, he took me at my word,
Yeah.
right? He wouldn't have known to say, hey, it's a 10, because I said I was on my way.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so I do think that having agreements and protocol for how you'll handle things is really important.
Yeah.
Um, a number of my family members have that now. And we're like,
Yeah.
my stepson and his wife, like if they're ready to go, she just says, hey, I'm ready. No questions. They get up. It's like time to go.
Yeah.
And we all know that that's just how, it's not exactly an
Yeah.
Irish exit, but it's like how they might leave the room sometimes. And I think when you know what to expect, you can manage anything.
Yeah. Well, I think what you're pointing to as well is like this transparency in life. We think it's just going to continue. And that, like you're saying, I'll get to it. Like with your relationship with your son, it's like, okay, well, that can wait because I'll have another chance. Because we think that transparency just continues. But then we'll have a break in that transparency and we'll have a breakdown or we'll get burned out or whatever is going on. And we go, whoa, wait a minute. This isn't going to continue this way forever. And I'm not going to have all of this time that I thought I did. And seize the moment and be present right now. So, so good. Thank you so much, Erika, for
Thank
showing us
you.
these things because it's kind of a blindness we just have.
Uh, And I couldn't see it. I wasn't looking. So I think one of my big hopes with the book is that it helps people know what to look for. The signs are there, the signals are there, and they will keep getting louder. But I think if we can catch those signals before they get really loud and do damage, that's what I hope this book does, right? And I try to front load that first chapter with all of this stuff so people would, kind of get the bulk of what I'm sharing in the book right up front so they know what they're signing up for. But those signals are so important.
Well, how can our viewers and listeners get your book and follow you? And I'll have this in the show notes as well.
Oh, thank you. I think the easiest place to start is the quiz. I have a pressure pattern quiz on my website, ericaalessandrini.com. They can take the pressure pattern quiz there. It takes about 5 minutes and it will reveal which of the five self sabotaging beliefs is most active for you. Low commitment entry point. Um, if what we're talking about today is resonating, the book Maybe It's Me, anywhere books are sold, or at maybeitsmebook.com. There's also a companion workbook that we didn't talk about. I have book club materials out there. I
Mhm.
have a companion workbook. It's 120 pages, beautiful book to support anyone who wants to do some deeper work. And if it really speaks to you, if it's talking to your heart right now, I want you to know about a program called Becoming a Leader at Peace. It's a new program, a 6 month virtual, right? You can participate from anywhere, cohort based program that I lead through Aileron in Dayton. And the program walks participants through, they get the book, they get the workbook, a cohort appears, and we're piloting our first group now. And the next group begins in September. So you can find information at ericaalessandrini.com or at Aileron, AILERON.org.
Excellent. And this is a question that I ask all of my guests. So, what would you tell your 20 something self
Mm-hmm.
now?
Oh, I've been excited about this question because I know you ask it. I would tell her that the thing she thinks is her greatest strength is going to be the thing she has to learn to see most clearly. She's gonna she's gonna work hard and care deeply and hold everything together, and all of that is real and good. And there will come a day when she realizes that the grip she thinks is keeping things together is actually pulling some of them apart. And the
Oh,
people she loves most, um, the ones she's doing it all for, deserve the best of her.
mm, so good. And lastly, did you get a chance to go to our online store? Because I would love to send you something from there.
Great. I did. So the piece that stood out to me was the butterfly girl bookmark. She just looks like my kind of gal.
She is. She's she's one of my faves. It's yeah, the bookmark is just I thought she was so sweet. I just had to keep her. So
What was the inspiration for that?
well, I started that when it was part of a Valentine collection. And then I thought, oh, she can be year round. She didn't have to be just for Valentine's Day. So that was the original thought about that one. I just think she represents a bit of whimsy for all of us,
Mhm.
don't you? I mean, just sort of fun. Yeah.
She's got style. She's got wings. She can fly. I mean, who doesn't want to be her?
Oh, thanks, Erica, so much. And just again, I hope that people get your book and really do some work there because I think you offer us so many little insights into and distinctions that are important to have as we move forward. So thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure.
Mm. Thank you for joining us today. And a special thanks to Erica for sharing her book and all of her insights. Before we go, here are 3 ideas I'm taking away from my conversation with Erica. First, pressure isn't the problem. Pressure is part of life. The question is whether we allow pressure to make our decisions for us. Second, our greatest strengths can become our greatest blind spots. Being responsible, being dependable, helping others. These are wonderful qualities, but when they're overplayed, they can leave us exhausted and unintentionally keep others from growing. And finally, the people we love most deserve the best of us, not what's left of us. That may mean setting healthier boundaries. It may mean asking for help or simply taking a moment to pause before deciding what matters most. You'll find links to Erica's book and how to reach her in the show notes. If today's conversation resonated with you, I'd be grateful if you'd follow the podcast, leave a review, and share it with someone who might need this message. And be sure to join us this Thursday for a new soundbite where I'll be reflecting on a question Erica's conversation stirred in me. What is the nature of peace? And what changes when we stop looking outward? Until next time, listen inward, lead outward, and remember, leadership isn't carrying more. It's about choosing what matters most. Talk soon. Bye.